Hey everyone, welcome back to Build Your Own Redis like server. In this video, we'll be covering 5 operations on lists. Let's get started. We'll begin by adding a test case on LRANGE, and that too, this is not a functional test case. It is kind of a error scenarios and also kind of a validation scenarios test case. So if you look at the pattern, should return error for LRANGE invalid key. So what exactly is LRANGE? LRANGE is nothing but will mention a key which is kind of a list-based data structure, and list is, again, you can treat that as an array, and we need to pass the starting and ending arguments, like both are inclusive again. So if we pass, let's say if we have a list of 10 elements, and if we pass 0 to 5, then we'll overall we'll get 6 elements. So start and end index is like inclusive, and index starts with 0. That's all on the list. So how exactly we can pass and all? So if you look at the pattern, so I'm just calling LRANGE list1. So if you see, wrong number of arguments for LRANGE, reason we need to pass starting and ending like this. So if you look at the second command, LRANGE list1 0 and 4, and the reason it is giving -1 because this list1 it's not there in the Redis itself. So if we just give some random key, then in that case it will just return -1. So this is kind of a validation and error case scenario just to check. Okay, now let's focus on the actual function LPUSH. LPUSH is nothing but pushing elements into the list from leftmost to the rightmost. So left push, you can remember like that, LPUSH leftmost, so left push, right? So if you see here, LPUSH list1 and the element is EL1, and if you see here, we didn't actually declare any list here. So Redis will take care of it. If the key, if we are trying to push LPUSH, like we are doing an LPUSH operation on list1, and if the key doesn't exist, it will create a list with list1 as a key, and also it will insert EL1 on the left side of it. Now we just passed one command, LPUSH list1 and EL1. Now the following command, if you see here, LRANGE list1, and I'm asking just to give me the first element in the list, 0, and the ending also is 0. So we'll total get one element. And if you see, the expected behavior is again the same thing. So uh, 1, the length of the array, right? So LRANGE should, the return type should be a list, right? Array you can treat. So 1 is nothing but it is returning only one element because 0 0 as an expected behavior. So and $3 is nothing but the number of characters in that list value. So EL1 3 characters. Got it? Now if you look at the next command, LPUSH foo, we are just passing LPUSH and foo. We are not giving the actual element where that element needs to be pushed into this foo. So we'll get wrong number of arguments for LPUSH command. And if you see here, LPUSH foo 1. So if you see here, set foo bar. So I'm just creating a key foo with value as bar, which is not a list again, right? So for a non-list based key, right, if you try to push, we will again get this error, like wrong type of key. I hope these two test cases are clear. Now let's jump back to the actual code, and we'll start with the LPUSH functionality. And the first validation is number of args. We need minimum 2, of course, so that the key and the second argument would be the element. And I'm extracting the key, and I can pass in the left push again, I can pass n number of values, so that all these elements will be left pushed into the list, that is into this key of list. Yeah, so first I'm checking if this already we have a list, or at least the value with this key in our store. If it is not there, then I'm just creating an object again with the same pattern, type list this time, and the value is an empty array. Clear? And if you can see here, for the normal string base, type string and the value -1. Okay, I mean value is -1 here. It's a case where for decrement, but if you see normally also, like increment, TTL, and even for set, type string and the actual value will be the same value as value. Yeah? Then on to the extracting the values from the argument. So first argument would be the key, and all the values after the key are the actual values, so that these values can be inserted into the list like pushed onto the list. Yeah, and this if block is self-explanatory. As you can see, if this key is not present in the store, I'm just creating that, initializing with the type list and also the value as empty array. Okay, then let's say if it is there, right, and I'm just checking the type list. If it is not there, then we'll get wrong type of key, okay, as an error. Like as you can see here, we covered this case as well. Like at the last set foo bar, so it will create the type as string. Then we are trying to push an element 1 to the foo, which will get wrong type of key. Okay, then unshift in JavaScript is basically pushing all the values to the from the left side. So from 0 value, it keeps pushing onto the thing. So value dot push in general, like array dot push is like adding all the elements at the right side, but unshift is like opposite. We'll just adding elements to the array from the left side. Simple. So unshift. And if you can see here, the most important, the return type, store key dot value dot length. So it will return the value like the number of elements in the list. Okay, that's it. As simple, right? So we are doing the validation on the arguments, and we are just initializing if it is not there, type check, and we are just doing unshift from the JavaScript, and we are returning the value like the list length. Clear? Now let's complete the LRANGE function. Again, in the LRANGE we need definitely three arguments: the actual key, like the list key, then starting and ending index. So that's why we are just checking the args length, and if that is not the case, then no, wrong number of arguments. Then the first argument would be key, of course, the same pattern, start and stop. That's it. So first I'm checking check expiry, the same thing as similar to the get request, like similar to the get command. And in this specific case, we're just checking whether the type is also not list. If that is not the case, then we're just returning -1 if it is not the list, and if it's not there, and all that stuff. L range, right? L push, if it is not there, we'll try to create an array like the list and push the elements. But when we are querying L range, the key should be there, and the key also should be of type list. Then only we should return the actual elements based on the starting and ending index, right, inclusive again. So if it is not the case, we are returning -1. So now for the actual retrieving, well, like all the validations are done before, right? So now first we'll get the list, right, store of key dot value list, then start and stop indexes. Now the most important line, list dot slice. If you see here, the actual definition of slice is in JavaScript is basically it will give you the shallow copy of this list array, starting index and the ending index. And in JavaScript definition, here the ending index is not inclusive, but in the Redis, the starting index and the ending index both are inclusive. So that's why we're just adding +1 over here, simple, and it will return you the shallow copy of the list. Then on the return type, if you see, we need to begin with server.test. If you look at the pattern over here, LRange 1. So 1 here is nothing but the actual length of the range. Like if you are if this thing resolves to, like, let's say 3 elements in the range out of 5 as an example, then the range dot length value will be 3, right? Then for each value, like for each element in the resolved range, the same pattern, length of the value and the actual length. Yeah, that's it. Simple, right? Now let's try to run. Let's use version 22. Okay, npm start. Okay, server is running. Now let's open another console over here, then npm run test. It's testing all the cases, and if you see here, LRange and LPUSH test cases are also successfully passing. Yeah, that's it. Now let's cover the rest of the three commands on list. That would be RPush. Let me just minify quickly. Okay, so we covered this till here, LPush. Now we are covering RPush. You got the drill. It's the same thing, just exactly opposite to the LPUSH. That would be we're pushing elements on to the right side of the array, not to the left side. That's it. Same fashion, RPUSH list to EL, and so in this case I'm trying to push EL to this key list2 of type list onto the right side of it, right? And after that I'm just checking, I'm just getting the first value, and that should be EL, the one what I pushed over here on the previous command, right? And the next command would be rpush list2. This is for the number of arguments. Then again the same thing, wrong type of key if we are trying to push to the string type of value. Now let's cover LPOP. LPOP is, if you look at the first test case, LPOP list3. That's it. So it's not similar to the push commands, because in LPOP we are trying to actually look at the valid list3, valid key of type list, and pull the element from the leftmost side of the list. If it is not valid, then we should return -1, and I'm pushing two elements, list3 EL1 EL2. Then on the LRANGE I'm just validating 0 and 1 whether I'm getting two elements, and if you see the array length is 2, the first element character is 3, and the second element characters, number of characters are also 3. So this is the pattern. And if I call LPOP list3, now EL1 should be removed. Oh, sorry, EL2 should be removed, because first EL1 will be inserted, then EL2 will be pushed from the left side. So after this line in list 3, the first element would be EL2, then the second element would be EL1. Now when you query LRANGE also, first it will give you EL2 and then next EL1. Now if you call LPOP list3, it should return EL2, because this is the leftmost element in the list. That's it. So we are validating the same and the number of characters. Okay, then without any arguments, the same number of arguments, same validation. That's it. RPOP, self-explanatory again, similar fashion. So RPOP list 4 -1, because list 4 it's never declared with the type list, and it's not even there in the first place. Then I'm pushing some elements, then I'm validating again. Then on the RPOP list 4, if you see here at this stage, right at this line, the list 4 has EL2 and EL1. When I do RPOP, the result should be EL1, because this is the rightmost element in the list. Number of arguments, validation. That's it, simple. Now let's complete the actual functionality for the RPUSH. Let me hide the sidebar. RPUSH, same thing, arguments length check, and if you see using the spread operator to get the rest of the values, like the rest operator technically, yeah, key and store of key. If it is not there, initialize the same thing, and if it is not type list, throw this error and push. So RPush is nothing but the literal push in the JavaScript. So we are just pushing into the array. That's it, and we are just returning the total number of elements count in the list. That's it. Now let's cover LPOP. Slight change on the variation, but if you look at the pattern, number of uh, arguments 1 is enough, because we just need a list key, LPOP list key, and it will just remove the element from the leftmost side on the list, in the list. That's it. Okay, so just the key expiry, the same existence key validations, if it is not there or if it is not type list, and if the length is 0, then it can't return anything, so -1 for all these cases. Okay, then if the value is there, like if the value if the array length is more than 1, and if everything is valid, like store of key, then I'm just using shift again. In JavaScript, it will just remove the element from the first index in the array. That's it. And once it's done, value.length, returning the actual value. Now the final command, RPOP, for the whole functionality. In the next videos, we'll be focusing on how to persistently improve on the persistence, like store in the append only file mechanism, and also as a snapshot mechanism. So this is the last command as part of our whole course. So RPOP, same thing as LPOP, right? Just that the element will be removed from the right side of the array. The same validations and value loading, and this pop is nothing but the RPOP in Redis is nothing but the exact functionality as pop in the JavaScript. That's it. Okay, value.length value, that's it. So let me just reiterate. LPOP, we should remove the element from the 0 index in the array in JavaScript, so we'll be calling shift function, and the normal regular function pop for the RPOP mechanism. That's it. So let's restart. It should be starting, but any which, yeah, it's keep restarting when we save the file. Okay, now let's run the test cases again. npm run test. Okay, all tests passed. RPUSH, LPOP, RPOP. That's it. That's all for this video. Give it a thumbs up if you like the content, and if you have any questions, feel free to drop a comment below the video. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye.